I'm Steve Swanson, Executive Director with the Fireman's Pension Fund. And today we've got a couple speakers, hopefully to give you some good information about the status of your pension fund. One is Mary Burns. She's from the firm of Burns and Pinelli. She is our fund's legal counsel. She's going to go through and do her presentation first. And then we've got Brady O'Connell. He's our investment consultant with the firm of Callan. Brady's going to go through and give you some information on how your money is invested. So without further ado, I'll let Mary Pam get started.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. No, you can't.
Put the mic closer to your mouth.
Okay, like this? Like this? Hello. Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm not supposed to talk like that at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Welcome. Thank you for having us here. It's a privilege to be with you. It's a little bit like Groundhog's Day in that I did the same presentation wearing different clothes yesterday to your Northside firefighters, retired firefighters, and their wives and children. It was really kind of fun, and they were a very engaged group. But one of the problems was I had my partner, Sarah, who with me, that's the problem with having it so close. And she was great because she was clicking for me because I can't do two things at once, which is why I am a lawyer, because I'm not good at doing too many things at once. So I'm going to have to click and talk at the same time. So bear with me. Okay, why are you guys up at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday? You're here because there's coffee and donuts, and because you want to meet each other again. Yesterday, it was hilarious trying to get people to sit down. It was obvious that they just wanted to visit and chat and catch up with one another. No, but on a serious note, we're here because your trustees of your retirement board at the pension fund are very concerned and very alert to the fact that there may be some fear out in the market, in your world, as to the status of your pensions and what's going on. And so your trustees, who devote incredible amounts of time spending time with these issues, thought, well, wait a minute, not every retiree or active member has the luxury of coming downtown and spending time at a pension board meeting. So they said, hey, why don't we go out to you guys and talk to you so that you're not, worrying about things and considering what's happening. So we're going to try to do this more. We feel like we maybe haven't done as good a job as we need to do to keep you informed. And not to be like the President of the United States, but there is a lot of fake news out there. There's a lot of things that are coming at you guys regarding your pensions, regarding what the legal requirements are. And so the trustees, and particularly Trustee O'Sullivan, who sits as an active member now on the fund, Trustee O'Sullivan said, hey, look, let's get up, let's get out, let's meet the people, let's educate them, and be there as a resource. Because you have to remember, your retirement board is a resource for you. We only exist at the retirement board to help you and make sure that you get what you need as you go into your retirement. So that's why we're here. And even though they don't like me to talk at the pension board meetings, they told me you can talk at this meeting. And Mr. Sheehan's laughing because he goes to our pension board meetings, and he knows that they don't like when I start yakking, because it's usually telling them what they can't do. No, can't do that. Oh no, can't do that. So what we are going to talk about today, and what they've asked me to talk about, is, hey, what the heck is the law that's going to protect your pensions? And should you be worried? Should you think to yourselves, let's cash out, take our money, and leave the state? And hopefully, at the end of today, you're going to be comfortable that, while it's not a perfect world, it's not like we're the hedge fund billionaires with all kinds of money in the bank at the pension fund. We do have a lot of security that, as a matter of law, they are not going to be able to take away your pensions, and they're not going to really be successful in diminishing your pensions, in my opinion. Now, we don't have 100% of the money in the bank, but how many of you paid 100% of your house payments when you bought your houses? Not very many, except for Sheila. Which, by the way, I should make a note to have that investigated. But most people, you buy your house, you have a mortgage, and you pay it over time to make sure that after 30 years you own the house. It's kind of like that with your pensions. You don't have 100% of your pension in the bank, to be honest. You don't. There is something out there called unfunded liability, meaning they don't have the money to pay us 100% of what we need today for every retired and active employee of the city if they got their pensions. They don't. But that doesn't mean they're not going to have the money. That's the key. It's just a timing issue, if you will, at this point. Okay, so what's my topic? Navigating the legal issues surrounding funding. But again, feel free to interrupt me if I'm talking and you think, wait a minute, I want to talk about something else. I don't really want to talk about your kids and what they're doing, but anything else is fair game. Okay, so what we started with, a lot of fake news, a lot of things you guys are seeing in the papers telling you, oh my gosh, there's these crises with the pensions. I will tell you, historically, we are no worse, no better off than we were back in like 1970. It's the same nonsense over and over and over again. So you're going to get all, it's never going to go away. But what's important, I think, is that we have a new mayor. You know, and that causes a little angst. It's new people, change sometimes is hard. But it also is a person who's a lawyer. She's very, very smart. And this is what she said at her city address that she gave not too long ago before she releases her pension. And President Fortuna, Amy Fortuna, who's the president of the board, he and I went to this together, and we were nervous because we went to hear if she was going to say she's going to whack people's pensions. And instead, she kind of was encouraging. What she said is, and you got to remember this, because we're going to be fair. You guys are all fair people. And you have to remember, this is where she's coming from. She's walking into this job. She's the mayor. She got just a lot of people who are very enthusiastic about her being the mayor. And she's looking at a financial crisis that is insurmountable, in my opinion. It's hard. It's going to be a big mountain for her to go over. And this is what she said to people there. She said, look, to put this into perspective, folks, for every dollar we pay to the city, 80 cents goes to pay for the cost of personnel and benefits along with pensions. Okay, so now Danny, Fortuna, and I are grabbing each other's hands going, 80 cents out of every dollar. Crap, we're in trouble. But then she went on and said very clearly, but let me be clear, I don't see the provision of pensions or city workers as the problem. The key problem is the decades-long failure to meet our pension obligations and fix the structural problems that have led to the crisis. So in her words, she's going in and right away she's saying, okay, it's hard, it's got to be fixed, but it's not going to be on the backs of employees. Okay, so we're going to start talking about it from a statutory perspective. This always makes my mother nervous, but I always say, this is my Bible. And my mother says, no, this is not your Bible. You shouldn't even say it. My mother says, I say, this is my Bible. It's the pension code. And my mother always gets mad at me. She says, no, it's not your Bible. Don't say that. God will punish you. But it really is our Bible. That's the document. And that's a statutory document that makes it. You guys saw that joke, right? Grandpa, tell us again about pensions. Because I will say this, and I said this yesterday. I thought that was a funny comic in the New Yorker. The reason it's funny is because I don't think your grandchildren in this room will have pensions. It's the difference, and Mr. Sheen and I were talking about this, between defined benefit and defined contribution plans. And you guys understand that difference. Everybody understand that? A defined benefit plan is what you have. It's a retirement plan that's defined by a statute, and you get it without any kind of change or nothing. It's all law. It's defined benefit. A defined contribution plan is more like a 401k. They don't really invest your money. They don't really give you guarantees. They give you a contribution and you're on your own. Okay, so those are the differences. what's going to happen in the future is there aren't going to be defined benefit plans. But what I'm here to tell you today is you have one, and under the law in Illinois, you're going to continue to have a defined benefit plan. It ain't going away. And you should be very, very comfortable with that. Okay, so we're going to talk about the statute. Now, historically, the city of Chicago required funding level to the fund was based on a multiplier of what employees contributed 2 years prior. So that's how this gets funded. What gets funded is the multiplier was $2.26 for every dollar you contributed. But it's really a weird system. It's spelled out in that Bible down there, that pension code. And what really it was the city would give us $2.26 for every dollar that was contributed 2 years prior by the members. So there was always a 2-year kind of lag in terms of if they added employees, I wouldn't get that money in the pension fund for 2 years later. So it was always kind of a bizarre system. And the reason it's so complicated is because it's based on taxes. And you know, when you get taxed at your house, you get taxed, and then it's based on the year before's valuation, and then you pay it the following year. So it tied into the tax system of the city. So the city contributed 2.26, again, the amount, 2.26 times the amount of what you guys paid in your contributions 2 years prior to the fund. So you can see that that's not very much, right? And that was in effect for a whole lot of years. And the multiplier, the 2.26, never changed. It didn't adjust to inflation. It didn't adjust to the fact that you guys were getting more in your salaries due to the unions negotiated benefits. It just kept static. It stayed the same, 2.26. And I joked yesterday about my nieces and nephews. Like if I gave them the 25-cent allowance that my dad gave me, they would look at me like, are you out of your mind, Aunt Mary Pat? That's ridiculous. We want $10 now. That's what they want in their allowance a week. So, but the city, because of that statute, only paid 2.26 for a very, very, very long time. What did that have the effect of doing? That had the effect because costs were going up, but the same money we were getting was staying the same. So costs up, income was to the pension fund was the same. It had the effect of dropping the funded ratio of the fund. So it kind of started in 2000, which is not that long ago. You know, that's only 20 years. 2000 was, your fund was 60% funded. And you can see it every year, it kept dropping. Now you're going to hear Brady talk about investment returns. And the investment returns, you know, you really can't invest your way out of this mess. I mean, otherwise it'd be like shooting craps. I mean, you might do well, you might win, but you ain't going to win over the long term. So you've got to, if you think about it, you guys were paying more because you guys were paying your contribution, and as your salaries went up, you paid more, right? So that makes sense. So you guys were paying more for your pensions, but the city, all those years, was paying exactly the same amount, 2.26. So it really never went up and adjusted for inflation, and it had the effect of dropping the funded ratio of the pension fund. So just a reminder of what you guys contribute. What you guys contribute is 9 1/8 of salary. But the point I want to make here is that the 9 1/8 that you have contributed all these years for all your hard work doesn't all go to your pensions. It pays for a lot of other stuff by statute, by that Bible. That Bible tells us that only 7 8% of the every $9.18 that you gave us, or whatever 9 1/8 is of a dollar, again, why I'm a lawyer, 7 1/8 of that goes to your annuity. But 1 1/2 goes for your spouse's annuity, so that's kind of in a different bucket. 3/8 of 1% goes for the COLAs, so that's in a different bucket. And 1/8 of 1% goes to ordinary disability. And you guys all know what ordinary disability is, right? That's for people who get injured or who are on the job or injured, but they're injured for a reason outside of work. And they have a right to get a disability benefit that's only 50% of their salaries while they get themselves better. And so that's what you guys do, that's your money, but it shows that not all of it goes to the pensions. Now, because it's been an issue, we've been talking about a lot of the pension fund, and your trustees are concerned about this. They're saying all the time, because they are prudent stewards of your money, they're saying, hey, wait a minute. We're down to $1 billion at the fund, or Steve. How much, we're about $1 billion, Brady? Billion, one. It goes, kind of comes and goes a little bit in that. But the trustees are always asking, well, wait a minute. If everybody in this room and every other retiree, or people came to take a refund, all the active members took a refund of their contributions, what money would be left to pay the pensions, right? That's a concern. So we wanted to say, first of all, you guys don't have a right to take a refund. So let's be clear on that, because the Bible down there says a firefighter has a right to a refund only if he or she withdraws or is terminated before age 50, he or she has less than 10 years of service and withdraws or is terminated before age 57, or he or she withdraws and enters the service of another department of the city. So it's not like everybody can have just a run on the bank, right? So that's somewhat helpful to know that there are restrictions on taking 100% of a refund from the city. Now, I will say that if a firefighter does come in and there is a panic and people, active firefighters come in and say, hey, I want my money, it's a little bit like, I was saying yesterday, it's a little bit like the Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Night. Mr. Potter, remember there was a run on the bank in that movie? If there was a run on the bank and everyone showed up at the fund demanding their active contributions back, first we would determine, could they get the money back? And second, though, we would have to give them interest. So it is kind of a scary thought. Okay, so what happened? This 2.26, I said the money's coming in from the city, but it's never adjusting. And that was in effect for a long, long time. And people saw, remember I told you, I showed you the schedule that showed that the percentages were going down? Your union and your pension fund trustees were like, well, wait a minute, this isn't good. What can we do? And what they did was they worked with the legislature. We didn't at the pension fund so much, and I can come back to why we don't get involved. But your union went to Springfield, worked with the legislators and with the governor. In December 2010, Governor Quinn signed into legislation 96-1495. And 1495 was a number that was in my head for so many years, I couldn't get it out because we talked about it so much in the pension fund. What this bill did is, it's the beginning. You remember this was right after the Blagojevich years and stuff, and the economy was in the tank in 2008, 2009, we were all like freaking out, and this is when people started talking about pension reform in real earnest measures. And what the people of Springfield did, if you remember, to the state funds is they came up with Tier 1 and Tier 2. You guys remember that? Tier 1 members were anybody who was employed before January 1, 2011, and Tier 2 is anyone who came to work after January 1, 2011. So what this did is it created that tiered benefit structure for the city, and it's also in place for the states, so it wasn't just the city that they were going after. But more importantly for my purposes today, and really for your purposes, because our interests are aligned, we care about funding for you, is that Public Act 96-1495 significantly changed the money that was required to be paid by the city, right? So that's kind of the big change was in 2011, or 2010. So now the law says that beginning in 2015, so they gave them a few years. They said, beginning in 2015, Mr. City, you can no longer give us 2.25 or 2.26 per dollar. you now have to do what's called ARC funding. You have to actuarially fund us.